Hello everyone. So today, welcome to another new lesson of robust control systems. So today we are going to discuss the idea of well posedness and internal stability, okay, which are very important when we analyze practical systems, right? Well posedness and internal stability. So we know any basic feedback system has three components. What are they? Controller, the plan to be controlled, and a feedback mechanism, right? So in general, these are the three main components of a feedback interconnection. There will be a controller, okay? Then controller will be connected to the plant. And from the plant, there will be a feedback through a sensor, okay? Sensor. Okay, so this is the ideal scenario, but practically there will be some disturbances and unwanted signals. Okay, so the plant may be having some input disturbance. What is disturbance? Disturbance means low frequency unwanted signal. Okay, that is what is disturbance D. Okay, and when you use noise, when you use sensor, it can get corrupted by noise. Okay, say you are having your sensor mounted on a vibrating platform, right? So unwanted high frequency signals may get pumped in and corrupt the feedback signal, measured signal. Okay, so noise N is unwanted high frequency signal. That's a disturbance between D and N. D is unwanted low frequency signal, whereas noise N is unwanted high frequency signal. R is the reference input or the command input that we give to a control. Okay, that we give it to the system. Fine. Now, this can be represented in a block diagram form like this. Okay, so here is our R. It is coming to an error detector. Let me define controller by a control transfer function C of S. Okay, so here you can see the plant is started with a disturbance, input disturbance. So to denote that, I am adding a summing point here and with the disturbance D. Okay, so now the plant transfer function is P of S. Okay, this is the output Y, right? And this is the sensor transfer function F of S. Of course, it's a negative feedback system. Okay, so when the sensor senses the output, it also gets corrupted by high frequency unwanted noise. Okay, so this configuration can be drawn like this. Okay, now the control output will be the control signal to the plant. So let me denote it with U of S. So this is U. Okay, and this feedback signal output, let me call that as V. Okay, and this is the plant output Y. Okay, so keep in mind with respect to this plant, okay, so this is the system, right? This is the system. This is the system, right? So with respect to this feedback configuration, R, D, and N, they are exogenous inputs or exogenous signals. Exogenous signals. What do you mean by exogenous? They are coming from outside the system. Okay, so our system consists of an interconnection of a controller, a plant, and sensor. Right. So with respect to that system, R, the reference input, D, the low frequency unwanted disturbance signal, and N, the unwanted high frequency signal, they are all exogenous input signals. Okay, whereas U, V, and Y, they are all internal signals within the system. Okay, they all can be considered to be the internal signals, right? So what is R? R is the reference input or command input. Reference or command input. Okay, then what is D? D is the disturbance. low frequency. And what is N? Noise, which is of high frequency. Noise, high frequency. Okay, what is V? V is the feedback signal or the sensor output. Sensor output, to be more precise. Okay, this is output from the sensor. Okay, and what is U? U is the plant input or the control output, control signal. Okay, plant input. And finally, Y is the plant output or measured output, plant output. Okay. Now, so you see here, each of these components has got two signals, one internal signal and one output external signal. For example, consider the controller. Okay, what is the external signal given to? What's the external signal to the controller? It is R, the reference input. And what's the internal signal? That is nothing but the V, the sensor output. Okay. Similarly, you consider the plant. What's the internal signal? It is U, that comes from the controller. And what is the external signal? That is nothing but the disturbance P. Okay. If you consider the sensor, what is the external signal? It is the noise. And what is the internal signal? It is Y, that comes from the plant output. Okay. Okay. So what is Y from here? Y is nothing but P of S into what? Signal at this point. What is signal at this point? D plus U. Okay. And keep in mind, P of S, C of S, F of S, they are all Laplace domain transfer functions. Okay. So just for brevity, I will be dropping that S within the bracket. Okay. So I will simply write P for P of S. It means P means P of S. If I write F, it means it is F of S. And if I write C, it means C of S. It's understood. Okay. So what will be Y here? P into what signal in the input signal at P is nothing but D plus U. That is one. Okay. Then what is U or what is V? F of F into what's the input at F? Input to F block, it is nothing but Y plus N. And what is U? U is nothing but C into signal at this point. What will be signal at this point? R, it is coming at plus sign, then minus V. That is okay. So now from this equation 1, okay, so Y can be written as PD plus PU. What is U? So you substitute equation 3 into equation 1. Okay. That means PD plus P into U is nothing but C into R minus C into V. Okay. Because my U is nothing but C into R minus V. Okay. And what is V? V is nothing but F into this thing. So I can write this as PD plus PCR minus PC into what is V? Fy plus Fn. Okay. So if you simplify that further, what will you get? PD plus PCR minus PCFy minus PCFn. Okay. So let me take Y terms together. So what will you get? Y plus PCFy equal to what? PD plus PCR minus PCFn. Or what will be this thing? Y into 1 plus PCF will be equal to what? PD plus PCR minus PCFn. So what will be my output? Output Y will be equal to P by 1 plus PCF into D plus PC divided by 1 plus PCF into R minus PCF divided by 1 plus PCF into N. Okay, this is equation A. Okay, so if you want to find what is the output due to command input R, you put D equal to 0, N equal to 0. Okay, you put D equal to 0, N equal to 0. So you will get the transfer function PC divided by 1 plus PCF. Okay. Now, equation 2. What is V? Fy plus Fn. Okay. Y we know what? F into what? PD plus PU plus F into N. Okay, but what is U from equation 3? C into R minus C into V. So this becomes F P D plus F P into U. U means CR minus CV plus Fn. Okay, so this becomes FPD plus FPCR minus FPCV plus Fn. Okay, so let me take V terms together. So what will you get? V plus PCFV equal to what? PFD plus PCFR plus Fn. Okay, or what will be, this means what? V into 1 plus PCF equal to what? PFD plus PCFR plus F into N. Okay, so this means what? V equal to what? PF by 1 plus PCF into D plus PCF by 1 plus PCF into R plus F divided by 1 plus PCF into N. This is question B. Okay, F by 1 plus PCF N plus PF by 1 plus PCF D plus PCF by 1 plus PCF R. This is equation 2. Equation B. Okay, now you cancel 3. So what will you get? U equals C into R minus C into V. Okay, so that means C into R minus C into, what is V? V is nothing but Fy plus Fn. Okay, so that means Cr minus Cf into, but instead of Y from equation 1 we get Pd plus Pu. Pd plus Pu. Okay, minus FCn, correct? Cr minus C into Cf into Y. Y is Pd plus Pu. Okay, so this becomes what? C into R minus PCF D minus PCFU minus FCN. Okay, so I will take U term to the left side. So U plus PCFU equal to what? C into R minus PCFD minus FCN. Okay, or what will be U from this? U will be nothing but C by 1 plus PCF R minus PCF by 1 plus PCF D minus FC divided by 1 plus PCF into N. This is the third equation. Okay, so let me write it here for your convenience. What is Y? So from equation A, Y is nothing but P by 1 plus PCF D plus PC divided by 1 plus PCF R minus PCF divided by 1 plus PCF N. Okay, then what was B? B was V equals PF by 1 plus PCF D plus PCF by 1 plus PCF into R plus F divided by 1 plus PCF into N. And finally, this equation C, equation C would give us what? U equals C by 1 plus PCF into R minus PCF divided by 1 plus PCF into D minus FC divided by 1 plus PCF into N. Okay, now these three equations can be arranged in a matrix form, right? So what should be the left side terms? I can write like this: Y, then V and U. Okay, this must be equal to what? Something into R, D and N. Okay, R, D and N. Anyway, you can write this, and make this YVU. If you want, if you wish, you can write VYU also. Okay, anyhow, you can write it. Okay, it is immaterial. So from the equation 1, y equal to, what's the term correspond to R? It is this thing, PC divided by 1 plus PCF. So PC divided by 1 plus PCF. Then correspond to D, we have P divided by 1 plus PCF. P divided by 1 plus PCF. And correspond to N, we have minus PCF divided by 1 plus PCF. Fine. Then coming to equation number 2, equation B, V. What is the term correspond to R? PCF divided by 1 plus PCF. PCF divided by 1 plus PCF. Then correspond to D, we have PF divided by 1 plus PCF. PF divided by 1 plus PCF. And correspond to N, the noise signal, we have F divided by 1 plus PCF. Fine. Then what should be the terms correspond to U? Correspond to R, we have C divided by 1 plus PCF. Correspond to D, we have minus PCF divided by 1 plus PCF. And correspond to noise signal, we have minus FC divided by 1 plus PCF. Okay, minus FC divided by 1 plus PCF. Okay, so this system is well posed. This system is said to be well posed if and only if the above, how many matrices will be there? 9 matrices. Okay, because you see Y, V, and U are the output signals, and R, D, and N are the input signals. Okay, Y, V, and U are the internal signals, which we consider as the output of each block. Okay, see, Y is the output of P of S, V was the output of F of S block, and U was the output of a C of S block. Okay, so you can have transfer function between Y and R that corresponds to the first term, PC divided by 1 plus PCF. Likewise, between Y and D, it will be P by 1 plus PCF. Similarly, between U and N, it will be minus FC by 1 plus PCF. So in total, there are 9 transfer functions. Okay, so this system is said to be well posed if the above 9 transfer functions, if the above 3 by 3 matrix is non-singular. 3 by 3 matrix is non-singular. Okay, what's the condition for non-singularity? Before that, so you see here, if you carefully observe, all the 9 terms have something in common. What is that? 1 by 1 plus PCF. Okay, so I can take 1 by 1 plus PCF outside. Fine. So I can write like this: Y, V, U equal to what? 1 by 1 plus PCF into PC, PCF, C, P, PF minus PCF, F, and minus FC into what? R, D, F. Okay, so you see 1 by 1 plus PCF into this thing. Okay, the system is said to be well posed if the above 3 by 3 matrix is non-singular. So what's the condition for non-singularity? Determinant 1 plus PCF is not equal to 0. That is, determinant 1 plus PCF should not be equal to 0. Okay, so if it's a MIMO case, then we have I. Instead of 1, we have I. Okay, there are many inputs and many outputs. There will be I. I means the identity matrix. Okay, so this is a condition for system to be well posed. Okay, for example, suppose P equal to C equal to 1 and F equal to minus 1. Check whether the system is well posed or not. Check if the system is well posed or not. If your P equal to 1, C equal to 1, and F equal to minus 1. What will be your 1 plus PCF? 1 plus PCF will be 0. Is it not? Because 1 plus PCF means what? It will be nothing but 1 minus 1 equal to 0. So this is a singular matrix. So the system will not be well posed. Okay, so if the system is to be well posed, then 1 plus PCF must not be determined. 1 plus PCF should not be equal to 0. Okay, that's the condition. Now, what is the significance of well posedness? If a system is not well posed, you cannot realize that physically. Okay, all physically realizable systems have to be well posed. Fine. That's the next point. Let us note, if the system is not well posed, if the system is not well posed, it is not physically realizable. It is not physically realizable. Okay. It is not physically realizable. Fine. So next is internal stability. Internal stability. So we had seen that we have these 9 transfer functions. Okay, if all these 9 transfer functions are stable, then the system is said to be internally stable. I repeat, if all the 9 transfer functions are stable, the system is said to be internally stable. Okay, what significance of internal stability? It will ensure that if the system has exogenous inputs, then the output signals will remain bounded. Okay, let me take one example. For example, suppose you have a system like this. Just an example. Okay, this is our plant. S by S minus 1 forward path. This is the output signal Y of S, R of S. This is the feedback signal through a transfer function 2 by S. Okay, so there's a noise signal here, say N of S. It is being added. Okay, and this is the U of S, some signal U of S. Okay, how will you find the transfer? How will you define stability? Stability is commonly defined on the basis of input-output signal. Okay, if the system poles are in the left half of the S plane, the system is said to be stable. Okay, so whatever boundary input you give, the system will be more stable. System output will also be bounded. Okay, so let us find the transfer function Y of S, Y by R of S. What will you get? G divided by 1 plus GS. So that means what is G? S by S minus 1 whole divided by 1 plus GSHS. So S by S minus 1 into 2 by S. Okay, so if you simplify, you will get S divided by S plus 1. Is it stable or not? This is stable. Okay, so the input output relationship is stable. This is the input output transfer function. Okay, Y of S by R of S is S divided by S plus 1. Where is the system pole? It is at minus 1. Okay, so if you just look at the input output relationship, system is stable. But what if you are finding the transfer function between U of S to N of S? Okay, U of S is also signaled at this point. You can find transfer function between U and N. Fine. What is N? N is some exogenous input. Okay, so what is U of S by N of S? How can you find that? How to find that? So when you want to find the transfer function between U and N, other inputs and outputs must be 0. So you have to redraw the figure like this. Okay, so R of S is 0. So your system will be something like this. S divided by S minus 1. Okay, so this signal will be what? This will be minus 2 by S because here there's a negative feedback. Okay, so that should be accounted for here. So it becomes minus 2 by S. Fine. Then this is the summing point. This is N of S. Fine. This is plus. Then the signal is coming like this. Okay, so where is our U of S? U of S is this signal. Okay, so we can redraw it again. How? Like this. So this is my N of S plus, then it is going to minus 2 by S. I am rearranging it in standard feedback configuration. Okay, what is standard feedback configuration? Like this. This is G, this is H. plus minus ry. Okay, so minus 2 by s. Then it is coming to, so this will be u of s, right? So u of s should go to s by s minus 1. So now what will be the polarity here? It will be positive only. Why? Because negativity you have already encountered along with the 2 by s block. So this is now plus only. Okay, so this will be the standard configuration. So what is the transfer function? You tell me g divided by. So minus 2 by s divided by 1 minus, because it's a positive feedback, g divided by 1 minus gh. Okay, so it becomes 1 minus gh. So already g is having a negative sign. So it becomes 1 plus 2 by s into what? Into s divided by s minus 1. If you simplify that, what you get? Minus 2 into s minus 1 divided by s into s plus 1. Is it stable or unstable? It is unstable. Unstable. Okay. So when you just look at the input output relationship, y of s to r of s, system is stable. But if you take the relationship between an internal output to exogenous input, then it is unstable. Okay. So internal stability will ensure that the system will have bounded signals, internal signals, whatever be the for any bounded exogenous input signal. Okay, this internal stability ensures that within the system, the internal signals are bounded for any bounded exogenous input signals. That's the significance. Okay, a system may be a system may be a system may be input output stable, input output stable, and still have oh, so I forgot to ask you one thing. So what's the meaning of this? It means that your internal signal u of s becomes unbounded. Okay, why? Because u of s by n of s is unstable. So that means when some noise signal comes into the system, then u of s will flow unboundedly without bounds. Okay, so internally the system the signal u of s becomes unbounded. Okay, even though input output is stable, fine, and still have internal signals that are unbounded. Okay, this situation is typically catastrophic. This situation is typically catastrophic to a real world system. To a real world system. Since the unbounded signals cause loss of linearity. Or damage to system or both. Damage to system or both. Okay, so internally it can cause some damage or it can lead to loss of linearity. Okay, or damage system or both. Okay, unbounded input signals, unbounded input signals, unbounded internal signals in a stable LTI system, is the result of internal unstable pole zero cancellations. Okay, For example, if you consider this example, so here what happened? This yes, this pole and this zero got cancelled. Okay, so internally some pole zero cancellation will happen, and that will lead to this kind of internal instability. Okay, so unbounded internal signals, why they arise? They are because of internal unstable pole zero cancellations. Okay, so a linear feedback system is termed a linear feedback system is termed internally stable if all internal signals and all possible outputs remain bounded given that all possible inputs are bounded. Okay, so that's what we have seen here. So in this system, there were three exogenous inputs, R, Y, and N. And there were three possible output signals within the system. Okay, U, Y, and V. Right? So if we can ensure that this is, if it means that if the system is internally stable, then all the internal signals will be bounded for any bounded exogenous input signals. Okay, that's what we wrote here. Is termed internally stable if all internal signals and all possible outputs remain bounded, given that all the inputs are bounded. Okay. Internal stability is evaluated. Okay. And for this purpose, we need to consider all the 9 transfer functions, because these 9 transfer functions will relate the internal signals, the 3 internal signals, or the 3 exogenous inputs, which are they R, D, and N, to the 3 output signals Y, V, and U. Okay, so we need to consider all the 9 transfer functions. Fine. Internal stability is evaluated by considering all of the possible transfer functions. Associated with the feedback system. And guarantees that all signals in a system are bounded. For all bounded exogenous signals at any locations. Okay, so a system being internally stable means it guarantees that all the internal signals are bounded. Okay, for any bounded exogenous input. Okay. So what's the basic? So the idea behind this definition of internal stability is that it is not enough to look only at to look only at input output transfer functions. Okay, so see here in this example, when you looked at the input output transfer function system as stable, but it was not internally stable. Why? Because some unstable port zero cancellations happen. Okay, so when you analyze the system, it is not enough just to look at input output relationship. You need to make sure that all the internal signals are bounded. Okay, for which we have to consider all possible transfer functions between the signals. Okay, then only you can say the system is internally stable. Okay, this transfer function could be stable. Which transfer function? Between the input and output. Okay, this transfer function could be stable yet an internal signal could be unbounded, probably causing internal damage to the physical system. Internal damage to the physical system. Okay. So we had seen that all possible 9 transfer functions between the input and output signals. Okay. If all the above 9 transfer functions are stable, then we can say the system is internally stable. Okay. If all the above 9 transfer functions, if all the above 9 transfer functions are stable, then the system is internally stable. Okay, so when the system is internally stable, whatever bounded exogenous inputs appear on the system. Okay, at whatever point, still the system will be stable. Okay, the internal signals will be bounded. Okay, that is guaranteed, right? So how can we check the stability of this transfer function? What's the condition? The poles of 1 by 1 plus PCF. The poles of this transfer function must be in the left half of the S-plane, and there should be no port zero cancellation. Okay, there should be no port zero cancellations. Right? So to summarize, I can write like this: the feedback system is internally stable. The feedback system is internally stable if and only if one, the transfer function 1 plus PCF has no zeros in the right half of the S-plane. Okay, there should be no zeros in the right half of the S-plane. If you are considering 1 by 1 plus PCF, you should say that there are no poles. Okay, but if you are considering this polynomial 1 plus PCF, you have to speak about the zeros. Okay, so there should be no zeros in the right half of the S-plane, and there are no port zero cancellations. There are no port zero cancellations in the right half of the S-plane when the product PCF is formed. Okay, there should be no port zero cancellations when you calculate the product PCF, and at the same time, the transfer function 1 plus PCF should have no zeros in the right half of the S-plane. Okay. For example, suppose your C is S minus 1 by S plus 1. Fine. P is 1 by S square minus 1 and F is equal to 1. Can you check whether the system will be internally stable or not? So first you find product PCF. Okay, what will you get? S minus 1 by S plus 1 into 1 by S square minus 1. So S square minus 1 can be written as S minus 1 into S plus 1. Okay, so one Poisson cancellation happens. Fine, that should not be permitted. That should not be possible, should not have been possible. Okay, but since that's the Poisson cancellation in the right half of the S plane, system is not internally stable. Not internally stable. What does it mean? It means that even though the input-output transfer is stable system, there can be unbounded internal signals when there are unbounded exogenous input signals. Okay, keep in mind D and N are not in our control. Okay, R is not under our control, but D and N is not under our control. So in case if an unbounded noise or an unbounded disturbance occurs in the system at any point, then there may be unbounded internal signals. Okay, that's the idea. So we will stop here and meet again for a new lesson. Thank you.